believe somebody's in the house.
Amen.
Hallelujah. I believe the Holy Ghost.
Yes, sir.
He's here.
It's powerful.
He's here.
Just let me look at my notes. Oh, he's here.
He's here. He's here.
Oh, my God. I'm ready to preach. I don't know.
He's here.
You know, when that anointing comes, he just wants to break loose.
Hallelujah.
Thank you, Jesus. Praise God. Boy, he's really anointing these 40 years, isn't he? Hallelujah. Praise God. This morning I wanted to read a scripture, and my wife woke up this morning with the scripture because she had been thinking about what words we were going to say about the speaker this morning, and that's the first thing she told me when she got up. She goes, "You need to read this verse because this literally speaks about the speaker."
Wow.
So we dedicate this to the speaker.
Hallelujah.
And I'm going to be using the ESV Bible. It is Proverbs 11:25. If you got the King James Version, it's going to say a little bit different, but it means the same thing. Everybody found it? It says, "Whosoever brings blessings will be enriched." Whosoever brings blessings will be enriched.
Amen.
And the one who waters himself will be watered. Praise God. This morning, the question is, who is this man? I wish I had time to say many, many good things about him. To God be the glory.
Amen.
But I do know this, that he is kind-hearted. I know he's very compassionate.
Thank you, Jesus.
And I know he's very giving to the fivefold ministry and to his church and to the lost.
Thank you, Jesus.
He is an AEGA bishop. He pastors Christian Faith Church in Delville, Texas, a place of good barbecue, with his beautiful wife, Linda. She's somewhere.
Yes.
Okay, praise the Lord. Well, let me introduce him. His name is Bishop Lynn Burling. Let's stand and let's receive the man of God this morning with applause. Hallelujah. Lord.
Hallelujah.
Be seated, everybody. Praise the Lord. Wow.
Hallelujah.
I'm telling you something.
I
I just feel like something good is about to happen now.
Thank you, Jesus. God.
All his way.
Sister Amanda,
My
God, Brother David,
God be the
you
glory.
guys are worshipers. You brought us in.
Hallelujah.
Seems like every time I stand in the pulpit, whether it's Sunday morning or some other place where I'm ministering, I'm looking for a confirmation from a song, a scripture, or something. I mean, God just dead centered everything this morning.
Glory.
Everything this morning.
Hallelujah.
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 Well, I better not take too much time because I told a few people that Sister Elizabeth told me that I had about 35 minutes, and I told her, well, I want to be able to stay close to that on this 40th anniversary because I want to be a speaker on the 100th anniversary. And your granddaughter said, "You'll be gone." And the truth is, you're probably right. You notice I left a little space here by saying probably. Hallelujah. 40 minutes? Okay. To be honest with you, I may not need that long, but we may need some time.
That's right.
So I want to express
Hallelujah.
great gratitude to Doctors Harbuck, Brother Henry and Sister Jane
Amen.
for AEGA.
Amen. Hallelujah.
And for this privilege and the official executive board. I'm so happy today, and I thank you to all of the bishops, to all of the international representatives and bishops, to all of the great staff. What an organization.
Amen.
Praise the Lord.
I know where I'm going, but when I give you the word that is going to describe what I'm talking about later in the message, you'll understand why I'm saying these things, because you're all an integral part. Even those that are here today are an integral part of what God is doing. To all of the delegates and all of the members of AEGA, to all of those who are here to maybe decide if AEGA is for you. And I was just asked last week to have a meeting with a couple, and they asked me, I said, well, I wasn't sure what it was about, and so finally came out, they said, we're just wondering, would AEGA be a good fit for our 501c3 or for our ministry? And I looked at them and smiled, and they said, what are you smiling? I said, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
Right.
So, what an opportunity to speak at such a function like this with such a large target of 40 years of ministry. So I called Brother Michael a couple of weeks ago, and I said, Brother Michael, I'm really, nervous about this, so I need your insight on what to say. And he said, why are you asking me? I said, because if I miss it, then I'll just tell everybody you told me what to say. Some of you might want to use that later on. Don't blame Michael, he gets blamed for it. So I want to move to my message this morning, today, by taking the theme of 40 years of miracles and celebrate that distinguished achievement. And by doing so, I want to give the eternal God of glory for the formation and the growth and the miracles it took, may I say, to get us here, because now I'm a part of it, and I feel such a comfort in it.
Oh, glory.
Glory.
Thank you, Lord.
Use him, God.
Amen.
I didn't realize when it was said yesterday that Brother Harbuck took this over 10 years into it. And as I was sitting there, Brother Harbuck, the Lord said, yeah, that fella that had it, he was the first stage rocket, and he couldn't get him into the stratosphere. But then Dr. Harbuck comes along on that second stage booster and took us all the way up. So I want to reflect this morning on the parallel between Israel's 40-year miracles and AEGA's 40-year miracles. And I want you to track with me, because these are unmistakable. God said, with a mighty hand, He brought Israel out of Egypt with mighty miracles and a mighty hand. And a good friend of mine said, if you don't think God's hand is mighty and you think you can achieve it by yourself, you would have already done it by now. If you think you can do it without Him. But you can't.
No.
So, no sooner had they begun the journey out of the wilderness with great health, great wealth, no shoes wearing out, no clothes wearing out, no feet swelling. Boom, here comes what it is. Or what is it? Manna. Miracle. Wow. Boom, here comes water out of the rock. Miracle. Wow. So, here's the thing I always appreciate about God. When a person, when their faith is small, God provides everything.
Amen.
Come on. A lot of people have to grow into your faith. That's why everybody has the measure of faith. You ever notice how some people just walking on water and you're just, you're up to here in water? But Israel just couldn't quite get there. And so what was happening was God just took care of everything.
That's right.
And so as they were growing, and it was for a time for them to grow until they crossed over.
Come on.
So for 40 years, God's provision was for 2 million plus Jews. It was unfathomable. To say there was no challenges would be ludicrous. And I'm sure you would say, yeah, there have been a few challenges. So it began with a man. Let me tell you about this man just briefly. He wrestled with God. Everybody knows his name, Jacob. And, he struggled, and I just spoke on this just a few weeks ago, but he struggled for 97 years in his struggles before he really became a different person on the inside.
Mama.
Can you believe that? So, but when he wrestled with God, Jacob, God changed his name, and here's the good thing. He changed his name to Israel. It was a name that became God's choice for him. Listen, follow me now. It was a name in the mind and the heart of God God since before the foundation of the world. I want you to think about something. My Bible says that the blood of Jesus, the blood of the Lamb, was slain before the foundation of the world. Before you and I were here, God already knew that you were going to be a part of AEGA. You'd be here today. This is amazing to me. So this people grew and grew from 70 to over 2 million, went through hardships for over 4 centuries, but then they had their coming out day. Praise God.
Thank you, Jesus.
But this coming out day was pre-programmed and prophetic by God. God spoke about it. He said, you'll go in and you'll serve and you're going to come out. So here is where we begin the comparison with this substantive, I didn't say that right, but you know what I mean. The meteoric rise of AEGA, and I'm sure Brother Harbuck's got an asterisk that says, what meteoric rise? It's probably kind of like this, isn't it, brother? But we understand what it means. And there are a few of you that have been here from its inception, I'm sure, and many like myself have been added, and I'm so happy to be a part of this. I can't tell you how thrilled I am to be here today. So let's segue to the core of the crafting, and I want you to underscore in your mind that word, crafting of a nation. Let's pick up a familiar story we're all acquainted with. This isn't the one yet. I'll get to it. It's in Numbers, and what I'll do is I'll just paraphrase and tell the story as we go along. The 22nd chapter, and this is the condensed version. In the 5th verse, it said, Balak sent messengers unto Balaam, saying, Behold, there is a people come out from Egypt. Behold, they cover the face of the earth. And he said, I want you to come and curse this people, for they are too mighty for me. Curse them, that I may prevail to drive them out of the land. For I know that whom you bless is blessed, and whom you curse is cursed. And, Balaam, he inquired of God, and God said, you should not curse the people, for they are blessed. Now, I want to tell you something. God blesses something, it's blessed. It was blessed. I hope you get the connotation and the parallel here. AEGA is blessed from its inception, and it can't be cursed.
Amen.
Amen.
That's right.
And so he told the messenger from Balak that God has refused for me to go with you. So as we go forward and fast forward, Balaam finally, under God's supervision, God said, go ahead and go, but he's riding on his donkey to Balak, and you know the story, and I was thinking there's a parallel there, Brother Harbuck. I'm sure you've conversed with quite a few donkeys over your years. And you know something strange is up when a prophet begins to argue with a donkey. And but verse 38 says, and I'm paraphrasing, Balaam says, I can't just say anything. Only what God puts in my mouth. Now let's go. So Balak says, well, look, let me just, he's trying to convince him to say something that God didn't say. So he said, let's go up a little higher so you can get a different inspiration of looking at these people and understanding what I want. So he took him up higher and said, it still doesn't change anything. I still can't curse them. He said, let's go to the highest level. I want you to look at things from a perspective up there. And he goes up to that highest perspective. And he said, I still cannot curse this people. And here is where I get my message within the theme of 40 years of miracles, and I want everyone to listen up. Those who have been with AEGA are crossing over into the 41st year this year. We're crossing over. And surely, go ahead and put it up, brother. Surely there is no enchantment against Jacob. There is neither any divination against Israel.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. And it also said there is no sorcery in a different translation. According to this time, it shall be said of Jacob and of Israel, what hath God wrought?
Woo.
My God.
Glory.
My God. And I want you to see something. That word wrought literally means, go ahead, crafted.
All right.
Skillfully fashioned, molded, or formed.
Glory.
And so God had his hand upon this nation. He started in the womb with Jacob. He called Abraham out of Haran. Come on.
Yeah.
And so what
Hallelujah.
happens? He begins to make something special. God did.
Yes.
What hath God created? What has God crafted?
Yes.
Wow. I want you to see this ministry as a crafting of God.
Amen. Amen.
Glory.
From the beginning of time, God knew down through the ages, from generations, of which I'll give you a scripture in a moment. And so this crafting, it denotes something from a designed blueprint from one's inner thought. And that is who Israel is. That was God's inner thought of who Israel was. And Dr. Harbuck, Sister Jan, AEGA, is crafted and wrought from God's heart.
Hallelujah.
As I stood here and I heard the different international brothers, and they were talking about the tens of thousands, and I began to think of the millions, not tens of thousands, hundreds, the millions that have been touched by this organization. It boggles the mind. Hallelujah. Come on, somebody, give the Lord a hand.
Hallelujah, Jesus. Hallelujah, Jesus.
And God He's a constant level God. Same yesterday, today. So His constant level of good intentions is toward us. He hasn't changed His mind.
No.
Has He changed His mind on Israel?
No.
We know that. And it cannot be anything but blessed. Israel can't be, and you can't be. And you know what this crafting means? When you craft something, it means you've paid a great deal of attention to ensure satisfaction.
Yes.
Great.
Now, I look at it like this. God wanted to please Himself, so He made something that when it developed and became what it was supposed to be, it would bless His heart. Now, if it blesses God's heart, how much more will it bless our heart? When we begin to see what God has done. Amen?
Hallelujah.
So as Israel has survived to continue in God's purpose, AEGA was formed and fashions in God's purpose and inner thought. Oh, I know the thoughts I have toward you, saith the Lord.
Amen.
So in 1884, a man on May the 24th, Samuel B. Morse, was asked his thoughts on how the telegraph discovery came. And he said, I got alone and I prayed till light came, and God was pleased to reveal it to me.
Hallelujah.
And I thought about Jacob. That man who was a supplanter, he was a crook.
Yeah.
97 years he ran, but he got alone with God. He got into isolation. Listen,
Come on.
and that's where he got his revelation.
Amen.
Come on. And so what happened is Samuel B. Morse has come the same way. He said, until I got alone and I prayed till light came,
Come on.
and God was pleased to revelation it to me.
Glory.
And with a series of 28 dots and 15 dashes, this God-fearing man sent the very first message across the electric line, quoting that very scripture. What hath God wrought?
Amen.
My God.
Yeah.
He knew that this was a God thing.
Glory.
And understanding it was in the heart and purpose of God for the work to be a blessing to the world. At that time, it was as important to them as the man on the moon was to us.
Amen.
I mean, look where that telegraph has taken us, to your iPhones and to all of this other stuff.
That's right.
Now, I want you to listen to Psalm 31:19. And this is part of that crafting that I'm talking about. Oh, how great is thy goodness which thou hast laid up, crafted and made, for them that fear thee, which thou hast wrought for them that trust in me. You have created, intricately put together and crafted a goodness above finding out except to those who trust in you. Are you tracking with me? Now, I don't want you to get down on yourself when you're wondering, God, when is this going to happen? When am I going to see it? And God said, my goodness isn't finished passing before you yet. Come on.
Hallelujah.
He just said, he told, who was it? Moses? He said, my goodness. Was it Moses? Somebody help me. Yeah. He said, my goodness is going to pass It's going to Pastor Arjuna.
Glory.
And then, I think, how long did that take? That must have taken an eternity because God's goodness is forever and ever and ever. I mean, he must have ordered him popcorn and pizza and said, "Yeah, this is pretty good goodness." Thank you for shielding herself from laughing with your friend. Thank you so much. I appreciate that very much. So God created for those who trust in Him His goodness. And that's what we're celebrating today. The key to that trust is to open the riches of God's great goodness. And all we have to do is just give Him our trust. Give Him our faith. It's crafted and wrought. And only for those who do. And I want you to, in Isaiah 41:4 said, "Who hath wrought and done it? Calling the generations from the beginning." Are you serious? Really? God called the generations from the beginning, crafted in eternity past to be revealed now.
Amen.
Glory.
That's my rendition there. But that's exactly what it means. And so we're living in real time right now.
Thank you, Jesus.
Hallelujah.
Thank
We're
you,
part of an
Jesus.
organization that's doing something
Thank
for the
you,
kingdom
God.
of God. Hallelujah.
Thank you, Jesus.
We're attached to something God is blessing, and people are camping in on it and receiving the goodness and the downloads from God all the time.
Yes, sir.
Now listen, Israel completed their 40 years, and their 41st year they developed a serpent and scorpion strategy. Come on now. I mean, you could say, "Hey, that sounds like New Testament stuff." Let me tell you, it was a time of war and obedience for them. It was a time of possessing the land. Listen, that was already wrought by God. God prepared it.
Come on.
He said, "You can go in and eat because you didn't plant it." He made it. You can live in houses you didn't build. I wrought it. Come on now. I crafted it. God designed their success.
Hallelujah.
And for AEGA, it's been the same, and it's going to continue to be.
Yes,
the
sir.
same.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
Glory.
We look for signs. Everybody's looking for signs. But we can find signs that God has had His hand on this ministry.
Absolutely. Jesus.
Dear Lord, I hear your testimonies. I hear the people just talking just to one another, and the blessings that come from this is just, incredible. But here's the good news. On the brink of Israel's very first battle was Jericho. A woman with small morals, but of large faith,
Amen.
said in Joshua 2:11, "As soon as we heard how the Lord had dried up the water of the Red Sea," miracle,
Yeah, that's right.
major miracle, and what you did to those kings, another miracle.
Yeah.
As soon as we heard these things, our hearts did melt. Preceding, intervening miracle.
Yes.
God goes before the enemy and destroys them.
Chitala.
Hallelujah.
Glory.
Specific God-crafted news to the enemy to guarantee Israel's success. It's like God is in charge of the media. Hallelujah. He trumped the media. Hallelujah. He said, "Neither did there remain any more courage in any man." Are you listening to me? See, we face our battles. We face our struggles. And we face all the things we've been facing. But all the time, God says they're already planned out. You're going to discover them when you trust in me, that my goodness will come forth, and to pull back the curtain, and you'll see it, and then you can walk through.
Glory.
Hallelujah. Anyhow,
Thank you,
let me
Jesus.
see. That's pretty good preaching there, Pastor.
Hallelujah.
He took their heart away. How do you do that with an enemy? You have to have radio, television. You just say, "We got the best weapons of all." You can't curse what God has blessed.
Amen.
And listen, what God has built, wrought, crafted, will remain and be blessed.
Glory.
Now, I'm with one of the other brothers who said this. It's great to look back and celebrate. I think it was Brother David. But what lies ahead from here forward, and by the way, as I say this morning, the Lord reminded me to tell the people, it may not be your 41st year, but it's going to be your first year.
Yeah.
Glory.
Yeah.
And He's just including you in 41. So you get to go forward. We all going forward at the same time.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
Amen. Amen.
And so what He's saying here is the purpose for God's crafting is to be revealed. What we think we know that has happened up to this point, we've all celebrated and say, wow, this is fantastic. God's got something up His sleeve.
Yes, He does.
God's got something more than we've ever dreamed about, ever thought about. I'm going to tell you this. Have you stopped dreaming? Have you stopped hoping and thinking about where my ministry is going to go? Where am I just going to wake up every morning and just try to be the most average person I can be? Of course not. No. We don't major in mediocrity.
Amen.
We want to do something that promotes the name of our God. Hallelujah. And it wasn't until their 40 years was over that their real purposes was revealed. God articulated them clearly. And I can tell you right now, as you listen to the Spirit of God, oh God, where do we go from here? It's more than I think you would ever realize. And I'm telling some of you here, as the Lord directed me, as I was listening and He was feeding me, there's more that God's got in His heart that He's crafted for you than you've ever thought about.
Amen.
So don't think too low. Don't think too low. Nations will be changed. There will be greater miracles going forward than what are behind. Hallelujah.
Thank you, God.
I love Dr. David Duplessis. He said, the New Testament is not a record of what happened in one generation, listen, but a crafted blueprint of what should happen in every generation till Jesus comes.
Glory.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
Yes.
Moses told the people in Exodus 13:3, the Lord has brought you out with a mighty hand. Commemorate this day. And you know what? The commemoration has started.
Amen.
We are commemorating this day.
That's right.
We are. He said, commemorate the day you came out of Egypt. Also, Joshua, in the 41st year, the beginning of the new,
That's right.
he had them commemorate the 41st year going in with 12 stones.
All right.
Thank you.
Come on now. And it was a new shift, in other words, in their purpose.
Yes.
And I just thought about this, but God said that if you don't praise me, He said the rocks are going to cry out.
That's right.
And He said, I don't know what God meant by it, but when He brought those, I think He's telling His kids, you can go back and look at those trips and say, hey, look how we come across the Jordan. But I think another thing God could have said, look, if you keep quiet about what I did for you and the miracles that I brought you through, these rocks are going to tell the story.
Glory.
If you're going to shut up, I'm going to make these rocks an answer.
Glory.
I like it.
Hallelujah. Come on. Glory to God.
Amen.
Amen.
Brother Harbuck, Sister Harbuck, what the Lord has established in the miracles that have happened have seemed, I'm sure to you, incredible. And were timely, but will soon seem as if the word impossibility has been done away. And become a reality. We've seen enough to where when are we going to start believing there is nothing impossible?
That's right.
Come on.
That's right.
Amen.
When are we going to believe that?
Hallelujah. Yes, God.
Remember, hold on till God's full glory keeps passing before us, which means it never will finish.
Yeah.
So it's got plenty to do
Yes.
to help us to continue to believe.
Thank you, God, Jesus.
It's just another impact of the impact of God's marching orders to Israel were sure. And I believe the Lord, what He's blessed, nobody can curse.
Amen.
And these attendees today, and I'm getting ready to wind this down. And the body of Christ, the same God who blessed Israel, the same God who blessed Israel, that would not allow him to be cursed, also blessed you.
Amen.
And you and him together, come on, together, you can repel those who curse you.
Amen.
Every tongue that rises up against you, you shall condemn.
Amen.
I looked that up, and you know what it says in the Hebrew? When he said you shall condemn, in other words, you don't give railing for railing. That's not what it means.
Right.
He said you just act as if you didn't hear it. Because it doesn't make no difference.
Hallelujah.
Pardon my English, but that's just exactly what it means. When somebody says they're going to sue you, so what? You have to talk to my lawyer. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. As the Lord says, they have not rejected you, but they've rejected me.
Mama.
You know, and just like that, the book of Acts has no ending. Israel has no ending. There'll be a day. There'll be a day, and we will have a day for AEGA. But it's going to be caught up in the whole summation of everything.
Glory to God.
Amen.
I don't believe in chance.
No.
This has been a great ministry of association, and the Lord has allowed my wife and I, Linda, to be a part of it.
Praise the Lord.
I don't have time to tell you the story of how that happened, but I just thank God that He led me here.
Amen.
This is a ministry of integrity and honor
Yes, sir.
Yes.
of those not only in the highest, but those in leadership.
Amen.
I look intently upon the people that you surround yourself with. It tells you more about leadership with who they surround themselves with. And in your ministries, you're going to be known by birds of a feather flock together.
That's right.
Come on.
Thank you, Jesus.
You got to look at integrity. If there's no integrity, you don't need them on your staff. That's a message for another time. But you have, listen, AEGA and you personally have impacted our life, but not that only, but our church.
Amen.
I mean, when you come and you have your conferences, we've fallen in love with everybody in AEGA.
Amen.
Our people, it's a ministry I'm proud to represent and recommend to all peoples.
Amen.
I mean, it's just really doing what it was set out to do. But we ain't seen nothing yet. Come on. Hallelujah.
Thank you, Jesus.
God, when they crossed over, God took the manna off the menu.
Yeah.
They were saying, what is it? They started saying, where is it? We're at that point. We're crossing over. And we're looking back saying, oh Lord, where's the provision? God said, I got new provision.
Hallelujah.
Every time you cross over something else, God said, you just came one step over. I'm promoting you. This is all about promotion.
Yes.
Hallelujah. This is all about elevation. That's what it's about. And if the supply that we're used isn't there, then God is leading us into a new season.
Glory.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
If you look back and I want to tell you something. They kept saying, what is it? Jesus had to come along and define it for her. He said, I am the bread of life.
Glory to God.
And you know what? We got Jesus all the time now.
Hallelujah.
They left the wilderness because their faith was so low that God had to feed them with bread. But Jesus said, man should not live by bread alone. But I want to tell you something. We live by the word of Jesus.
Yes,
Hallelujah. God created, crafted a giant killing mindset in Israel.
God.
When they came over, when they came out of Egypt, they didn't have that. The song was so great. I'm no longer a slave mentality.
Yes.
I love that.
Come on.
I'm just. But now they didn't know how to war. They were scufflers, man. They had to get together. They didn't have no weapons. But God gave them a giant killing mentality. He tried to give it to them once before, but only 2 guys grabbed hold of it.
Come on now.
Come on.
Yeah.
Until finally he had enough people, he said, now you're ready. If I only had 2, I could have defeated the whole
Hallelujah.
country. But now I got 2 million.
Woo!
Come on.
Hallelujah.
So here we are today. What are we going to do about it?
God.
Anything that impresses God about our performance is based on Him seeing Jesus' finished performance in us.
Thank you, Jesus.
Hallelujah. He sees Jesus' finished performance in you. But it's an ongoing performance. Well, here's how we're going to close this today.
It was the cross that made my crown.